You don't think anybody could have messed with any digital machine in the future then? Because of that reason. Those are your reasons. I'm just wondering, do you think anybody could mess with these?
This is a solution in search of a problem. Unless you think that there's going to be like these fucking cat burglars that Mission Impossible style scale down from the roof and plug something into the back of the thing without ever being detected by the cameras that are monitoring these voting places and while bypassing the fucking security monitoring. It's insane. Glad to hear it.
As far as the topic goes, I would say Trump has been terrible for the people who didn't vote for him, who wanted to go towards a socialist, more society, more like free everything kind of.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a socialist, but
okay. Would you consider you agree with democracy then? Are you a communist? Are you
big Democrat? I'm a Democrat in the sense that I believe in democracy. I'm a big liberal. Okay. I believe in free markets. I believe in democracy. I believe in liberal ideology. I believe in pluralism.
What's pluralism?
The belief that like everybody is intrinsically equal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree. I believe people are equal too.
Okay, good. So that's the foundations.
So would that be like your argument, like a pluralism as far as the immigration? I'm assuming that you think the immigrants should be allowed to stay, or?
I don't think pluralism has much to do with immigration because I generally don't think that the immigration stuff is driven by racism, or like that kind of thing. I think Donald Trump is absolutely anti-democracy and has signaled towards that multiple times. I think he believes in like this theory of a unitary executive, which I think is anti-constitutional and just not good. I do think his immigration policy is really bad, because he likes to exceed his authority and he likes to do bad faith invocations of emergency powers in order to do a lot of the policy that he wants to do, and doesn't have any actual long-term solution or goal in mind for fixing the border like the Democrats did. Yeah.
Like the Democrats did. That's kind of funny. So would you agree with the platform of the Democratic Party today?
No, not really. I think, like, for instance, Kamala Harris proposing the tax on unrealized capital gains was fucking insane. Really didn't like that. I think they go a little too far on the identity stuff, which granted, so do the Republicans, but I think identity politics genuinely is just stupid. I don't know. I feel like they neglect a lot of economic language and patriotism to appeal to the far left, which isn't good, but I would take a kind of foul, trashy scent over being shot in the balls like a billion times.
I mean, honestly, man, you're probably the first reasonable Democrat that I've listened to in a while. I'd be curious about some of the other topics, I guess. How do you feel about the Constitution?
Big constitutionalist. Big constitutionalist.
Okay, cool. That's the difference. And a lot of the Democrats, hate the Constitution. Or at least that's what it comes down to. They like to use it for rhetoric, but I
think Donald Trump hates the Constitution much more than any Democrat I've ever seen. But
I think that both sides have misused the Constitution throughout the years, and part of it is because of the rhetoric that they put in. How do you feel about a president being able to put in 150, 200 judges every year?
If those vacancies are open, then that's probably the job of the president. I'm pretty sure the president fills vacancies in federal judgeship. I guess that probably most of Biden's appointments were better than the Judge Janine appointment that we just saw. That's fucking crazy, but
I'm not familiar with that one in particular.
There was a vacancy in the there was a vacancy, I think, in the D.C. court, and Donald Trump put like a Fox News faux judge lady to be there. One of the ones that was sued by the Dominion in 2020 for spreading so much disinformation about their voting machines that Fox News had to settle out of court in the biggest settlement in American defamation suit history.
They did, but are you familiar with the actual case where they didn't actually investigate most of the case? It was like basically they got sued for defamation, but they weren't even allowed to basically pursue the case. Most of the court hearings,
because they settled out of court. They specifically
Yeah,
made an
eventually
effort to
because they
not bring
couldn't
it to
get
court.
the
That's why
judges.
they didn't get to investigate.
My point is the judges wouldn't hear it. They were most of the judges when it was brought before state judges or federal judges wouldn't hear the cases.
For the Dominion defamation case or for the election challenges from Trump?
No, for the idea that Dominion had was I don't know what the word basically that it could be manipulated in a sense, not necessarily that Dominion itself had done it, but that the devices could be manipulated, the digital devices,
Well, the reason is that
computers.
you have to show some sort of demonstrable harm and you need to show standing in order to bring a case like that. And a lot of the
And
cases,
eventually they did.
well,
Like a year later, they showed a digital guy down in
not
Florida who was
not
in
really
the
though.
world showed they did though.
I mean, there were audits done on the Dominion machines. There was not anything found. All of the lawsuits, the plaintiffs were not able to show standing. They either were suing from a different state or were not able to bring any evidence that any wrongdoing had happened at all, or that any like perceived wrongdoing violated any law. It's just none of the lawsuits were dismissed because they weren't good lawsuits. And I mean, even
Regardless,
John
well, let
Eastman.
me ask you this:
Well, real quick, let me put a bow on this. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a lawyer that was working for the Trump campaign in 2020. His name was John Eastman. He was basically coming up with this plan that they would submit these other electoral votes and then get the vice president to throw them out. And one of the grounds by which he said that they could do that, get the vice president to throw out the valid election results from the states, is if they have pending lawsuits in the separate states' courts. And he's explicitly said it doesn't matter the merits of these lawsuits; they just have to be pending while the election challenges are, or while the elector challenges are brought up. So that seems to imply to me that the Trump administration didn't really care about winning any of these lawsuits. They just wanted them pending by the time January 6th came around.
I mean, they all do that, right? They use every bit of information and everything that ever happens around them for their political gains.
Yeah, but this
Like
is like bad
that
faith,
would.
though.
Well, I mean, I would say both parties are in bad faith all the time. Like generally, like I think they lie to the Americans about what they're really doing. Like for instance, do you remember the reparations thing where the Democrats were like pushing like heavy? Oh, we're going to give reparations to all the African Americans in the country.
I don't recall a
I mean,
heavy
it's still
push
going on.
for reparations, but I'm a younger guy, so maybe
You
it's
don't.
just outside of my time. But in my my lifetime, I
Not
don't
that
remember a
long.
heavy push for reparations. No.
Yeah, like probably it was. I think it was the Trump Hillary thing during that. A lot of the Democrats were speaking on it. Like, so what I'm saying is it's rhetoric. They knew there was no way to push that because you got 83% of the nation that, in one scale or another, is not African American, now paying taxes for reparations that are going to go to 13% of the community.
Yeah, sure, but
But
I
what I'm
mean,
saying,
like, so
and
it's
now
different.
they're using it.
Campaign promises, like, saying I'm going to end the Russia-Ukraine war on day one, are a separate thing than
It was a
bad
promise he
faith
couldn't keep.
things like as a contingency to go through with a illegal
But
plot.
he
That's
tried
a
to
separate
fulfill
thing.
that promise, and I can prove it because our U.S. President Biden hadn't seen Putin or even gone to the table with him in over 3 years, and he did it within a month.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the Democrats, if they were elected, if Hillary Clinton was elected, I'm sure they would have tried to do reparations. They just wouldn't have had any pathway to it. Just like Donald Trump is never going to end a war and negotiate out of a, what was it at the time, like almost 10-year long war, um, in a day. That's just a pipe dream. He couldn't negotiate the end of the occupation of the Donbass in his first term. So why would he think that an actual full scale invasion could have been negotiated out of in a day?
I
Because he
mean,
was lying.
well, yeah, I mean, everybody knew that he wasn't going to stop a war in a day. A lot, I think, people hope because he had a good relations with Putin, though, so there was at least a chance. I mean, other than what the Democrats did, which basically, even during when the 2016 run, the Russians did this, the Russians did that. Well, our military stuff and our I know DC's been hacked a few times over the last few years, so I guess my question for you then would be like, if this stuff can happen, right, and our IT can be interfered with, don't you think paper ballots would be more reasonable for voting as far as than digital?
Um, I think this illustrates a problem with the Republicans a lot is that they like to come up with solutions in search of a problem. We haven't seen
There is a problem.
we haven't seen any evidence of any electronic ballots being tampered with. There's so
Yes,
many checks
maybe.
in between. There's so many
My
checks in
question isn't
between
if
and so many
yes and
security
yet, but
measures that these people take. I don't know if you know this,
why are you
but
avoiding,
every Dominion machine, after they count the ballot, they keep the
why are
paper
you
ballot.
avoiding my
I'm not.
question?
I'm not
My
avoiding the ballot.
question,
I'm
the
not avoiding
question
the
is
question. We do
both
both.
paper
There's a
or
paper.
digital. Because
Every electronic vote gets a paper receipt.
my whole question is, you can understand though, with all the things that have been hacked in our country just in the last 4 or 5 years, with all the major corporations that get hacked and everybody that does that, in person or in paper would make more sense than digital, right? I
Every
mean,
electronic ballot prints a paper receipt. It has. There's.
yeah, but
You
then
can.
they
You can
use
see the
the
history.
USBs to register them, right, and document them, right?
They use what to document them?
The USBs,
They use
the
USBs to
blocks.
document.
They're like they're not, I don't know if they're USBs, but they have the board that they came and got. That's how they collect all of the data files on it,
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
in the machine.
Uh huh.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like
Has there
paper
been?
may not be as
Well, if what's your claim then? Are you saying that like the people who are collecting the data are manipulating it?
no. What I'm saying is if the digital world, which we know can be hacked, which we've had a ton of stuff hacked just in the within the government. If it can be hacked, we should just stay away from it and do something that's handwritten, like let people sign paperwork.
This is just it is truly just a solution in search of a problem. There hasn't been a demonstrated problem with this. These voting machines aren't really hackable. I'm pretty sure most Dominion
How long
people
do you
say that
think we've been using digital
the only
machines?
way that you could hack a Dominion voting
You're
machine is with
ignoring a
physical
future
entrance into the
problem
machine.
by saying it hasn't happened yet, though, right? Isn't that what you're doing? You're just saying, well, it hasn't happened yet, so we don't need to worry about it.
If you have to demonstrate that there's a problem, like if
It is only been
if we
around. We
saw that
haven't.
there were hackers, if we saw that there were hackers breaking like getting physical entry into the machines that is required to hack the Dominion machines, then I would say, okay, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be using the Dominion machines right now. Or if there was like a
How can
giant lawsuit that found actual impropriety with any of the Dominion machines, I would say, yeah, probably we should move away from the voting
Do you
machines.
believe any
There
of our
hasn't been any
greatest
demonstrated
military
problem.
have been do you believe we've had any IT issues with any of our like CIA, FBI people have hacked their systems?
Yes, there's obviously been IT issues, but the CIA and
Do you
FBI
think they
systems. Wait, hold on. The
security than our
the
Dominion?
CIA and FBI systems are completely, substantially different than than the Dominion machines. It's like saying, "Oh yeah,
Which way?
don't you think instead of using a microwave, I should just cook it by hand because the microwave could get hacked?" It's like that's not how it works.
So you don't believe that anything, conspicuous happened during any of our elections, but we somehow lost 40 million voters between what 20 and
No,
24?
I mean, again, this is just speculation. There were much more
Speculation.
incentive
I
for
think
people. There was much more
evidence around
incentive.
us and make a
There
conclusion.
was
Something is
much.
going on.
There was
That's what I'm
much.
saying.
There was much more incentive in 2020 for people to vote than 2024. And there was much less. There was much less incentive for Democrats to go out and vote in 2024 because Kamala Harris just wasn't a candidate that a lot of people felt motivated by. It's completely explainable. I don't understand how Republicans can say on one hand that
I
this
could
was a
say
terrible
honestly,
candidate and she ran a historically bad campaign, but they also can't comprehend that less
during
people voted
COVID,
for her.
you're telling me people that were freaking out during COVID in 2020 were more likely to run and vote, especially the Democrats were like, "Oh, the world is falling apart."
There was a
You
big
think that they
spike
would have
in
likely
there
to
was a
go and
big
vote in
spike in a
2020 or
particular
2020?
there was a
Hold on.
big spike in
Let
a
me finish.
particular
Let
kind of
me
voting
finish.
in
It was
2020.
more likely they went and voted in 2020 than they would have gone in 2024 because there was less for them to vote
Chewy,
for now.
the Democrats
Scared out of their
voted by
mind.
mail-in ballot in 2020. They didn't need to leave the house to vote. That no,
So
the
they know how to do it.
COVID had actually COVID motivated people to vote more because they were off work.
40
There was
million people
more
just
there was more
well, we don't
public
want to say
messaging
that.
in regard to mail-in voting.
I mean, that's your opinion. I think it's a
No, that's not
ridiculous
my
answer, but
opinion. That's obviously what's true. It's your opinion that somehow the entire
because
2020
you
election
said
was
that less
stolen.
people had
It's your
reason to vote
opinion
in
that
2020.
somehow
That's racist, dude. That's
it's your
your
opinion
damn
it's your opinion that the entire 2020 election was stolen, even though
your
there's not a
opinion
shred of
that
evidence of it, even though there's
people are
not
gonna vote in
any
2024,
hacking,
but that's
even though
your fault.
the theory that you came up with that the Dominion machines were hacked isn't even
Didn't
conceivably
say that
possible
they
without
were.
physical entry
My
into the
question was being
machines.
completely around if you thought they could be hacked, and you're like, well, it hasn't happened yet, so don't worry about it.
You need
As
physical
opposed to people
access
can
to
get
the
up and
machine. Chewy, you just don't understand how these machines work, and it's really easy to get scared about a mysterious
Are they
system.
built by? Did they run through the same
isn't there,
technology that IP and our security and stuff does in like CIA, FBI? Same shit.
No, they
Just
don't.
a different computer.
No.
Yeah, they do.
No,
Okay, when they
don't.
take all of the boards back or whatever they
Again,
take from
this is why I made this. This is why I made this comparison. It's like, don't you feel like your microwave could get hacked because your computer can? No.
Are you comparing our voting machines to a microwave?
It's my impression that the Dominion voting machines are not these like incredibly high sophistication machines that are connected to the internet.
That gather information that's collected after voting. This is exactly what they are. I don't know why you're having a hard time with this.
Do you understand that Dominion has come out and said, do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand that Dominion has come out and said, do you understand? Do you understand? I'm going to keep repeating myself until you let me ask my question. I'm going to keep asking this, or repeating myself until I get to ask this question. I'm going to keep asking that. I'm going to keep repeating myself until I get to ask this question. Do you understand that Dominion came out and said that the only way for you to hack this machine is if you had physical access to the back of the machine, and that they print paper trails for the votes that they count through the Dominion machines? Do you understand that?
Do you understand Dominion built the machine?
Okay, so you're just not going to answer that.
I'm just wondering. It's like me saying, "Do you understand my Ford Escort
who do you
could
think,
never blow a balloon?
Who do you think?
It's got this special,
who do you think understands the machine more? Who do you think understands the machine more? You
so
or
you're
Dominion?
Saying you can plug into the back of the machine, but it could never be hacked? Is that what you're saying?
You plug into the back of the machine through physical access to the machine.
Okay. So how are they collecting the?
That's what I just said.
Right. So it can be hacked, obviously, because you can plug into the back
with physical access to the machine. Are you not listening?
So, okay. So you're saying that
so
they
I'm
don't
saying
collect
you can't
all
hack into the machine without physical access to the machine. And if somebody is fucking plugging shit into the voting machine, all of the poll watchers are going to be like, oh, hey, that's not normal. We should probably stop this guy from fucking plugging into the machine.
You think they had like 24-hour surveillance around the machines right after?
While they're voting, yes, that's what poll watchers are.
I didn't say while they're voting. I've been talking about after when they're collecting all of the information from them.
Yes. That's
so you don't
what they are.
You don't think anybody could have messed with any digital machine in the future then? Because of that reason. Those are your reasons. I'm just wondering, do you think anybody could mess with these?
This is a solution in search of a problem. Unless you think that there's going to be like these fucking cat burglars that Mission Impossible style scale down from the roof and plug something into the back of the thing without ever being detected by the cameras that are monitoring these voting places, and while bypassing the fucking security monitoring. It's insane. Wow, this is ridiculous, buddy. This is ridiculous. All right, bye, buddy. These fucking Tom Cruise is going to come down Mission Impossible style, scale down from the fucking thing, bypass all the cameras, bypass all of the security, and put this thing in the back of the Dominion voting machine, and then do that across 7 different states to actually have any effect on the fucking election. Okay, bud.
For real. You just didn't see it. You just didn't know what was happening.
It's a solution in search of a problem, and it's just conspiracy bullshit. It's like, oh well, don't you think it's weird? Don't you think this is strange? Don't you think there's like reason to be concerned? Like
maybe Chewie
demonstrate
was talking
anything.
About the trillionaires we didn't know about that can hack everything.
Don't you think it'd be a problem if right as soon as I walked out of my house, a big anvil fell on my head? Don't you think that would be a problem? Don't you think that we should probably put a giant metal net over top the U.S. so anvils don't come falling on somebody's head? Don't you think that would be a problem?
True.